Welcome into a brand new episode of Rip and Roc, episode 17. We're talking a lot about the O's all-star closer and his injury, what's going on with that, a timetable or lack thereof. Felix Bautista on the 15-day injured list, so the O's bring up DL Hall. What that means for this team going forward. Can they still get to the World Series, win the American League? It's a wait-and-see kind of thing. Our thoughts on that. We're also going to talk about if Yennier Cano, another all-star, can be the team's long-term solution at closer if Bautista does miss the rest of the season, if he misses an extended period of time. The buzz at Camden Yards, and by buzz, I mean buzz. It's quite literal what I'm talking about. There was a buzz taken care of, I hope. If it's not taken care of, I may never return to the yard in my life because you know how I am with bees. But you know, that's neither here nor there.
Oh, yeah, everyone, if you haven't seen the GIF, check out my profile.
I think everyone's seen the GIF. You post it like at least once a day, guy.
When Rocco tells me not to post the gift, you just
a gift?
Be the next
Is it a gift or a gift?
GIF.
Is it a GIF?
It's a GIF.
Gift.
Is it a GIF or a GIF?
It's a GIF. I think it's a GIF.
I've heard GIF, but I've heard GIF.
I think it's a GIF. Because peanut butter, Jif, spelled with a J.
You know what? It's like Pan.
The pan. I think I can
situation.
help with the pan lady. Or no, what does he say? He goes, "Hello, Miss Lady." That's what he says.
But then he goes, "Hello, Miss Lady. I can help with the whole pan
Hello,
situation."
Miss Lady.
Oh, it's silent. Perfect.
Oh, it's silent. Like pan.
Yeah.
I think we could pull that off, man.
Oh, it'd be great. We got to get more into our artistic or our comedic sides. We are big movie people. We need to have an episode just going into some of our favorite movies or comedies or movie quotes, I should say. We'll save that for a different time.
As we get off topic, once again, because that's the theme of this podcast, the series finale against the Rockies. The O's do drop the series finale. They do win the series, though. They could have picked up that sweep. How Jack Flaherty's doing? He missed his last scheduled start, makes this one on Sunday. What our expectations are for Flaherty going forward, if they've changed, if they haven't, if he can still be the guy for this ball club going forward. Rip's Tips makes its return. Still don't know what that means. Still don't know what it is. Won't know until you say it. Never do. Never will.
That is correct.
Okay. Just thought you might wanted to add something there.
Nope.
The race for AL Rookie of the Year, like Vince Carter said after he won the dunk contest, it's over. It's over, ladies and gentlemen. It is over. It's not technically, not literally, but it's over. Gunnar Henderson's a lock. How he did it. Discuss that as well. Whip around the American League, what the rest of the AL is looking like, who the O's have to maybe not necessarily be worried about, but keep on their radar going forward. They're not. They're going to take it one series at a time. But Birdland, who you can keep on your radar as far as teams competing with the Orioles for that AL title. Rip and Roc mailbag. It's open. We did it again. This time you made me tweet it out. You do have more followers on Twitter. But
oops.
So when I put something out, it's not going to get as much burn. But you told me to do it, so I did it. We got some good questions, good answers coming for you as well. We're going to preview the series with the Chicago White Sox. There's a guy on that team that you're very familiar with, your playing days. So that's pretty cool. But I don't think O's fans are going to, they might care about it. But he's the enemy. He's the enemy coming into town for this team. No, I'm just kidding.
Baltimore guy coming back.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding, people. Yes, I am.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, people are still going to root for their teams.
Of course, that's what I mean.
There you go.
I'm just kidding. He's not the enemy, people.
You're a good kid.
You're a good kid. Let's jump into it, though. You could hear a pin drop at Camden Yards. I wasn't there for this one, but just watching on TV, being here at the station and seeing it, I let out an oh no when Felix Bautista threw that 102 mile per hour pitch for a ball, 1 out away, 1 strike away from ending the game, and then he stops. And then McCann comes out to the mound to visit Felix, and then Brandon Hyde and the rest of the staff kind of come out to the mound to visit Felix. And when a guy doesn't throw a practice pitch, exits a game, you immediately think the worst. You hope for the best, you expect the worst. And I think that's really, truly how all of Birdland feels right now. So what happened with Felix after that, Danny Coulomb came in, closed out the game, got that final out, but everyone's thinking about Felix in that situation. You can celebrate the win, but immediately when your all-star closer goes down, one of the best, if not the best closer in all of baseball, having a phenomenal season, when he goes out, to me, he's been the team MVP this season. What he's done, his ability to close out games, and what he means to the ball club. When a guy like that goes down, you immediately not only hold your breath, but you just hope. Just hope that it's not going to be anything serious. But when Mike Elias has that press conference the next day, wasn't originally scheduled, I don't believe, and he comes out and says, hey, we're placing Felix on the 15-day IL with a right UCL injury. UCL, immediately you do think the worst. As a baseball player, what goes through your head? I don't know if you've had a UCL injury, but when a teammate, when someone you know, when you hear UCL, what jumps out to you, Rip? Because it could be something where he misses a few weeks, could be something where he's out until 2025, and that's when he comes back. We truly, really don't know what goes through your head, man.
I mean, I haven't had a UCL injury personally, or that I know of. Haven't gotten an MRI there, but when you think UCL, you think Tommy John. You think longer term injury, not a short term stint on the injured list. And I talked about this the night it happened, and look, I don't like to. I try to be realistic with people, and this isn't trying to be a downer episode or anything like that. It's just the reality is being around baseball and seeing moments like that. I first was when I saw the video, and I told you I was hoping it was something body related, maybe oblique, maybe a knee.
A lot of people did think it was knee because of the way he turned off the mound.
Right.
Yeah.
And so that's your first hope. And then when the report comes out that it's arm discomfort and they don't give you a specification the night of, for me, it's going UCL. And the other thing is the fact that you are not going to, where I was going with this is you don't throw a warm-up pitch. He's trying to feel out his hand. And so the combination of that, when he's trying to get I don't want to say it's a tingling sensation, but it kind of is where it's a reaction. I'm not doing a great job of describing that, but that
we're not doctors though,
right?
People got to realize that.
But so when you haven't gone through it, but I know with guys when they've talked about when they've had an injury, they said it's not necessarily that they always feel maybe a sharp pain, but it's a sensation, right? And that's what it looked like with Bautista. And then just as soon as Hyde said, we're not going to discuss anything, they knew the moment it happened. They know exactly where he stands. Now you hope with a UCL that you could avoid surgery, but more cases than not, and especially the success rate of Tommy John, that's where people go to. And the fact that Elias, when he came out and had the press conference and said, we don't have a timetable, for me, you have to prepare he's done for the year. And I think he's done for the year.
Do you think how hard he throws affects how long he might be out? It might be a stupid question, but a guy that's throwing 102, 103, basically using all of the strength in his arm possible, do you think that has any effect of how long he might be out? Because Elias did say in that press conference, he said something along the lines of, you can basically Google and see, not necessarily a timetable, but we've all WebMD'd our injuries, our symptoms. Birdland's doing that right now. They're looking up everything. I'm sure people were lined up at the hospital asking if they could, if there were elbow transplants they could give to this guy, because that's how passionate this fan base is. But in all seriousness, it says, and I don't, I'm not a doctor. I don't know much about this stuff. Obviously, I work in TV, but first thing that pops up, UCL injury baseball timeline on Google. Like Elias kind of said to look up. If your injury is mild enough that you don't need surgery, you can make a full recovery within a few weeks. For some, it could take as long as 2 months. If you do require surgery to fix your damaged ligament, it routinely takes at least 9 months to heal and regain the strength and stability in your arm. So you talk about that, 9 months, then you talk about getting back to throwing, getting back on the field. And that's from Mass General Brigham. So I don't know how reliable of a source that is. Could be, couldn't be, but that is the first thing that popped up on Google. So we're just going to go with that right now.
And that's the thing, right? It's that there's so many different outcomes, but typically from what we've seen, this is probably the biggest thing. You asked a question about for his velocity. If hypothetically Felix can come back, and again, I don't see it. I want to be wrong. Up front, everyone, I want to be wrong.
I mean, we don't want to see the guy miss the rest of the season. Definitely want him to come back.
I love the guy. I love what he does. And just I feel for him because he's been such an integral part. He deserves to be a part of the moment.
Yeah.
Having said that, he throws 102, right? If he can't go out there and be the Felix Bautista that he was before the injury, I don't think it's worth it, even if your team is chasing down a championship. If there's a chance, can Felix come back, but you're risking his long-term health?
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
I don't think that's even a question. So for him to come back, there has to be almost the lowest possible way of him re-injuring that ligament, if that's the case. But to be honest, I just feel like for the Orioles, regardless of it, you have to plan that he is not coming back. You have to then look at your roster and who's coming up. They brought DL Hall up, and we're going to talk about that. You have to start planning for life without Felix Bautista, just like we talked about in spring training when Givens and Tate were hurt to start the year. And we talked about it. You hope you can get him back. I said Givens was more optimistic than Tate because Tate had forearm issues. And that's the same thing. When you hear forearm, it's still kind of tied in, forearm UCL area, you get nervous. But hearing that, I'm going, well, that's an uphill battle to have. So keep that in mind for fans. The reality is, just like with everything, you cannot expect that Felix is going to be back. And for the Orioles, you really have to think about who is going to be in line. And that's it's going to be a question. What are the Orioles going to do with their closer situation, which I'm probably sure everyone has an opinion about. And it might not be as simple as per se one guy.
Yeah. And right now it looks like they are trying out that one guy situation, and it's been Cano. Cano goes out and he gets credited for a save 2 games ago. My days are so confused, man. So the second game of the series against the Rockies, that 5-4 win, he gets credited for the save. Today, Sunday, so that was Saturday. Sunday, he goes out and he ends up getting credited for a loss because of what happened in the top of the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
So Cano, I mean, the guy's an all-star, but right now, to me, he's not having the season he was having confidence-wise before that all-star break, because he was mowing dudes down and staring them down. And just like you could see that swagger. And I'm not going to say that's gone away completely, but I have confidence that he could be the guy if relied upon. All-star form this season. He's been there. He's done that. But I really think we're going to see the O's go to potential closer by committee. Would you agree? Would you disagree?
I do. I think Cano will probably get the majority of reps, but I think they're going to play matchups. And when that's like seeing Danny Coulomb coming in situations who's a guy that they've relied on. I think that just Cano, because of the late innings, they're probably going to use him, but it's one guy because Felix Bautista, his one role was 1-run games, tie game, or closing situations. You knew he was coming in. The Orioles can't expect someone like Cano to then just automatically jump in because that hasn't been his role. Yes, he can close games. That's no doubt. But I just want to paint this picture right now. Cano has the most appearances on the Orioles this year. He's got the most innings out of the bullpen this year. He's got 63 innings on the season right now. And the only reason I'm trying to bring that up to everybody, this is his first year in the big leagues, a full season. He had 10 games pitched between the Twins in 2022 and 3, with the Orioles. So 13 total. And so if you go and look at his stats, yes, he's obviously pitched more in the minor leagues. It's not what I'm saying. But if we're going to go off the context, and it's interesting, Danny Coulomb was another guy that didn't pitch much last year in the big leagues. And just again, it's the moments change. But here's in the example. Last year, Yennier Cano in the big leagues, and while I have this, I'm going to have his minor league stats to give context, he pitched 18 total innings. Okay? Minor leagues last year, he pitched 40 innings. So he had pitched 58 innings for the entire season last year. And here we are, not before September, and Yennier Cano has already surpassed his innings limit for the last year plus. And his max that he had back in 2021 was 69 2/3. So we're getting close to how much he's actually dealt with. And so that's why I look at it more of, it's a tough ask for somebody who hasn't been built up to do this type of role. And it's another thing when fatigue, you said it hasn't seen the same Cano. He is probably getting tired just because of this has been an unbelievable season. Because it's been so unbelievable, he's been asked to do more than he's ever done. And that's going to bring on that tired arm. So yeah, to save himself, you hope that the Orioles will probably use some more options.
Like I said, he hasn't been bad. His ERA is up. He was 1.48 before the All-Star game, 1.77 after the All-Star game. Record before was 1-1. Record now's 0-2. Just looking at the pre-All-Star game, post-All-Star game splits and what we're looking at. In the batting average, his pre-All-Star game batting average against was 212. Now it's 244. It's not terrible, but there has been an increase in his stats in a negative way. But I don't think this guy's even close to being a lost cause. Like,
there's no lost cause.
No, wasn't what I was getting at. Yeah. I hope people listening don't think that either. Like, I'm just saying, like, statistically, his numbers have gone up.
Everyone thinks it's
gone down. Yeah, gone down is what I mean.
They haven't been as sharp as they were.
Yes, that's exactly
and
what
also
I
still
to say.
The expectation rose because when you become so elite for a certain amount of time, everyone thinks you're going to just maintain it, right?
Yeah.
And that makes sense because
he was unbelievable before the All-Star break. Like,
unreal. And so you're sitting there, and that's when people were saying about, like, well, could Cano be the star or closer over Bautista? Which, don't get me going on that again. But the Cano. That's you saw what his best looks like, so then that's what you come to expect. The reality is it's hard to maintain that. I think just the biggest concern is the innings part. And it's interesting. Tyler Wells now is down and coming in the bullpen role, who does have some closing experience. And I'm not saying it's going to be him. There's another guy that I hope there's one guy on the staff that actually has the stuff to be a dominant closer, but I don't know if his mental approach is there yet and mindset, but there's one guy on the team, and I know you know who I'm talking about.
It's your guy.
It's my guy.
It's Fuji.
It's Fuji.
You're like the biggest Fuji stan I know.
Yeah, and I'm not saying he's ready to be a closer by any means. He's not. And I believe it's a committee approach. Tyler Wells will have the experience when he comes up. He's going to come out of the pen. But man, there's one guy left in this bullpen that has similar stuff to Bautista that is wipe out. And if you needed an example of this, go watch the Mets' almost immaculate inning and go watch him strike out Bo Bichette, Brandon Belt, and Vlad Guerrero Jr. Two of those three players, Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette, are two of the best hitters in all of baseball. And Brandon Belt is still a very, very solid veteran player. So my point is, no one else can offer that on the Orioles staff right now.
Let me ask you this. I want to put you on the spot for a question. If you had to pick one player in that bullpen going forward, we're hypothetically going to say Felix Bautista's done for the year. If that is the case, one guy to be the closer, to be the consistent closer, week in, week out, day in, day out, who would that be for you and why?
If it's right now, I'm going to have to give you two names if it was right now.
Got to give me one.
I know. Well, this is the point I'm going to try to make. If Wells gets called up, I probably would feel comfortable putting Wells in that and having Cano be the setup guy still.
Okay. But he's still down in the minors right now as we speak.
As of this day, it's going to be Cano. But in a month, if Fuji does what I think he's capable of, he can take over. Okay. So that's where I stand. It's Cano right now is going to get the first crack. But if Fuji becomes dominant and more dominant high leverage, which I will live and die by the sword with Fuji.
Hey, I respect it though. I do because you're consistent with it.
And if I'm wrong, so what? But I think in a month's time, that could be the guy that ends up closing out games for the Orioles, because that's the type of stuff that can completely just shut down a team. It's not stuff for him as we've seen. It's just, can he mentally put it finally all together?
No, absolutely. And that's what fans are wondering too. Can he be the guy to help the team out? Like he's had kind of a rocky road in his career, even with the Orioles. But if he smooths it out, think of like those potholes you drive over all the time. Like once that road smooths out, it's so much better. And for Fuji, kind of that analogy, same thing. I mean, it'll be great for the guy because he does have the stuff. I feel like his confidence just needs to continue to grow. I don't know if that's something that, you can develop over. I do believe it's something you can develop over time because you see just in normal life, you see shy people sometimes come out of their shell, talk to people more. It's like you get that swagger to you. And I feel like Fuji on the mound, he needs that as well. And I think the Orioles, their staff, their pen is gonna help him along the way.
And can I say one thing
Absolutely.
to go with Fuji real quick?
Absolutely.
And this is why that outing against Houston where people were looking at, that was the last glaring one. Yes, we know he hit people against Toronto before that. This was before this circumstance. Fuji's, as far as control, was really off. 28 pitches, only 14 were strikes. You can do the math there. That's half. The next outing was Seattle, got through it. But since he then went to San Diego, and yes, after this outing, he went 11 pitches. He gave up 2 runs. I get it. But this is where it gets very interesting. 11 of pitches, 8 strikes. Against Oakland, 16 pitches, 12 strikes. 16 pitches, 10 strikes, 16-9, which was, he was wildly effective. But again, when you have the wipeout stuff, he was trying to go after Bichette, Guerrero Jr. and whatnot. That happens. And this last outing, 16 strikes on 23 pitches. My point, and also over his last 4 innings of work, 4 innings, 2 hits, 0 walks, and 6 punch-outs. Punchies. So my point, if we're going to hold on to recency bias here, and I know you can say that the Oakland game wasn't high leverage. Toronto, it was a little bit more relaxed, obviously, not as high leverage. Colorado, the O's had to come back in that game, thanks to Gunnar Henderson, who we'll talk about. But 4 innings, 6 Ks, no walks. Fuji if the Orioles are going to go far, I'm going to live and die with a sword. Always go far, Fuji's going to be a big reason why in the bullpen.
Okay. You heard it here first. Dude, there was a buzz at Camden Yards today. I mean, the stadium was quite literally buzzing. First inning, game got delayed. People are like, what's going on? Bees.
Your worst nightmare.
My literal worst nightmare. I would have been out of there so fast. I wouldn't have been back until that got cleared up. I would have been gone. Bees. Honeybees. I don't care if they sting, they don't sting. If they're yellow with black stripes on the body, or they have a stinger, they fly around and look like that, I'm out.
Gone.
What a wild delay, though. I mean, we've seen it happen before in baseball and in other, other sports.
I had to read that twice.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. I thought a delay. Initially, I didn't think it was about the game. I thought it was something else. But, shirts and pants and something. Is that, so if we're going to label up there's a fear for you, like people are afraid of, physically getting stung. I don't want that either. Like I would run away too.
Yeah.
But is there another creature situation where you're like, nope, I'm not having it?
Not a big fan of spiders. I just don't like bugs in general. I'm not like a big nature guy. Like I'll go on hikes.
Yeah,
I've
you don't like
before,
nature very much.
But if there are bugs in the tent or something like that, I get really skeeved out and I'm not a fan.
Yeah, you're not a nature guy.
As far as actual fears go, yeah, thanks. Nature boy Ric Flair. Woo.
Woo.
Yeah.
2 claps and a Ric Flair.
Woo. But bees are at the top of my list. It's bees and needles. But I've had to get blood work done over the last couple of years. I'm okay, but had 2 ER trips. So I'm kind of used to needles now. I still hate them. I'll always ask the doctor or the nurse if I can have the butterfly needle. Well, I used to do that. Now I'm just all right, I turn my head, clench my fist, and whatever it is, what it is. Heights, another one. But bees, I'll tell you this. I'm so afraid of bees, and everyone out there might call me crazy or laugh at me, but maybe you can relate. I would have to cut the grass when I was in high school or college. I think it was early college years when I was at community college, living at home. And my dad would go to work. He'd be like, all right, cut the grass. That's your job. You got to do that. And I'm like, all right, cut the front lawn, cut the back. And it would be like 95-degree heat. And I would cut it in a hoodie with my hoodie up, sweatpants, and like my sweatpants tucked into my socks because I didn't want to get stung by like a mud wasp or a bee, man. And if you would have watched me in the backyard cutting the grass, I would sprint with that thing, with that lawnmower across, because I was like, if a bee comes and tries to sting me, I am out. And like, that's where the fear of bees, man. And it's
okay, I'm with you. No, I don't like getting stung by bees either. I don't think anyone actually likes it. If you are, I'm curious. Let us know.
Yeah.
I will say this. I'm not a fan of snakes. That's like, I'm not.
Fair.
I don't have the desire to own a pet snake. I don't really like it. Don't get ideas here. I got a golden retriever at home. I love my dogs, my pups. But you know what? I will say bug bites in general are really annoying, especially like late at night. I go and sit outside my house. We're going to get back to baseball here in a second. But you sit outside and you just get bit left and right.
Yeah.
And you're like, I want to enjoy a nice drink on my porch. And whammy, I got 38 bug bites.
Dude, yeah, that's like not fear, but
that's not fear.
That stinks because
I went from
that's cool. That's cool.
When I thought about when you were talking about, mowing the lawn and putting.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's the worst though, because you got to wear sweatpants outside when like you're getting bit up, or like wear like shoes as well when you're out on your back patio or something like that. That actually happened to me, and I still get made fun of for this day. My friends think I'm is the word hypochondriac the one that like creates the
I think you worry about more things that happen with you. It's
hypochondriac. Abnormally anxious about their health. Well, that is me, because like people think I exaggerate too much. My friends especially, they're like, oh, here we go with Rocco again. You know what happened to me on my birthday, like having to go to the ER.
Nuts.
That wasn't fun. Everyone thought I was like not faking it, but they're like, he's being, very dramatic. But when I was in my backyard, got bit up, like it looked like I stepped in an anthill. And I had bug bites all up and down my feet because I think I was like barefoot in the backyard in the grass. And we had gone to Ocean City, Maryland the next day, me and a bunch of my friends. And my foot got so swollen that I thought it was going to have to get like cut off. And to this day, I still hear about it from my buddies, because they're like, remember when you went to urgent care and you like had to miss out on like going out because like you thought like your foot was going to fall off? I'm like, yeah, I do, but that's just me. So three biggest fears: bees number 1, needles number 2, heights number 3.
Yeah, I don't have my exact number there, but I don't like snakes. Heights have gotten worse.
Come on.
And a person that kills my vibe.
I thought you were going a completely different place with that. But
just kidding.
Okay. I was like,
it's my worst fear. No. I got to think of the other fear. But you know what we're doing? What we forgot to do is talk about that the delay in the game today. The Orioles still played baseball today.
Yes.
Or as we record this podcast. They did win the series also, by the way, which with everything going on with the injuries, with the bees, with Rocco being Roc, the Orioles still won the series 2 of 3. They almost came back and got the series sweep today. Ryan O'Hearn pinch hit Homer, big ball.
2-run bomb.
And, just that's the way the cookie crumbles. It's kind of funny and not ironic, but the Rockies, I think I saw a stat. They said they were leading in the sixth run or later in their prior 6 games and lost all 6 games.
Yeah, and it's like, but with the O's, with leading, trailing, like this team's never out of anything.
No.
I mean, they're down 2, they're down 3, they're down 7. It doesn't matter with this ball club. And when they were down 2 in the 8th, like, were they ever out of the game? Absolutely not.
Nope.
Even if it's in the 9th. No, you got that O'Hearn pinch hit home run in the 8th that tied the game. They did end up losing, however, but it just shows you the fight of this team and what they're capable of. And hopefully they can carry that into the postseason, and that never goes away the rest of the season, because that's something of value for a ball club. And that's not something that a lot of teams in the league really truly have all the time. Like, you look at the good teams, they can come back and potentially win like any game they want to at times. But for the O's to be one of those teams, that's big for them. So,
oh yeah, and the other thing I'll say with this, I actually talked about this on the radio on 105 earlier with Glenn and Rita. It was the Orioles losing Bautista hurts. Just obviously we know that, and because all the close games you felt like you're winning. But I tell you what, winning those games, then each one, and this is the big thanks to Bautista, your team believes, the confidence grows. That doesn't matter anymore after a while. I mean, the Orioles have 24 one-run wins this year. That's the best in the American League.
40 comeback wins, second best in all of baseball.
So our point is, even though you lose guys, once you believe you can do it once and twice and then again and again and again, now all of a sudden it doesn't really matter what's happened with your team. You're just so locked in on the moment going, we've been here before. Why, we're going to do it again.
The guy who pitched the series finale, Jack Flaherty, acquired by the O's at the trade deadline, he missed his last scheduled start due to what is being called general soreness. Happens, I'm sure. He goes 5 2/3, 3 earned on 7 hits, a walk, 3 strikeouts, and a homer. He seemed like kind of down on himself in the locker room, or clubhouse in baseball. Not a locker room, but you knew what I meant. But I don't think he had a bad outing. And he even said, like, his stuff was decent. He had decent stuff today. There were just a few pitches where he kind of let get away or didn't locate the right way. So 84 pitches. He doesn't get credited for the loss because he did keep the O's in the game.
And then O'Hearn hit the home run.
Yeah, and then O'Hearn hits a home run. So Cano gets credited for the loss. But I think Flaherty fans might expect him to be better than he was today. I don't think he had a bad outing by any means, but I don't think this is a guy who's going to go out and throw a complete gem every single game for you. He could. I think he's capable of that, but I don't know right now if we're gonna see that gem after gem after gem like fans might have expected at the deadline. But I think he's going to be a great arm for the rotation continuing to go forward.
Yeah, and I think that there's some fans, being on social media, frustrated that he's sitting out. They're like, well, his toughness, why isn't he doing more? It's like, we don't know the situation.
No, we don't.
And that's not fair. But what I will say is that you need him. You need him in the rotation. And you can say what you want, and you could say that his mood doesn't fit the team. If we're giving the amount of heat that Flaherty's getting is like how people treated Dean Kramer to start the year.
And I was going to say, like, they both have the Cali vibes, just like very like relaxed, very chill. And that's how Dean Kramer is. That's how Jack Flaherty is. They're just very like chill guys, and they might not always wear their hearts on their sleeve when it comes to their emotions.
Yeah. And well, then also people in general too, were quick to jump on Dean, and then now everyone's like, oh, wow, like Dean pitched well. They go back and forth with Dean, which I don't think is fair, and I think Dean's been unbelievable after the month of April. With Jack Flaherty, I want to read something real quick. Since July 1st, this was before he came to the Orioles from the Cardinals, he's had a variety of starts. Now he's had 4 starts with the Orioles, and he's had, this is in his last 9 starts. I want to read you some lines real quickly here, okay? So it's documented. Rockies, Padres, Astros, Blue Jays. He's given up 3 runs, 7 runs, 3 runs, 1 run. So 3 of the 4 games give this team a chance to win, right? Let's go back to the 5 starts before he came to Baltimore. Let's go back. Diamondbacks, 5 innings, 3 earned. Cubs, 6 innings, 4 earned. Nationals, 6 innings, 3 earned. Miami Marlins, 6 2/3, no earned. New York Yankees, 6 innings, 0 earned. So you're hearing this right now. If you want to look at his starts, he has given the Orioles, or not the Orioles, he has actually put together a string of pretty consistent starts. And it might look because of his ERA of going, well, man, what is going on?
Yeah, that's what pops out on the screen when you're looking at. But
his last 9 starts, yeah, he had 1 game where he gave up 4 earned runs, which he went 6. I'm still saying that gives you a chance. The Padres one's really the only outlier. Every other start has been 3 or below. So my point, Flaherty needs to be healthy, and quite frankly, he needs to be healthy to help this rotation, but he's fully capable. I just think it's always recency bias with Flaherty, and today's an example. You're coming off, people are frustrated. The Orioles lose a game against a bad team.
They won the series.
And so it's just we want to find kind of a blame guy with it. Give it time. Now, if he's not good for the rest of the year, rightfully so, you can make your point.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with that. You look at his August starts, all with Baltimore, because that's after they acquired him. He had made 4 starts in the month of August. 1-2 record, 6.41 ERA. In July with St. Louis, he went 3-1 with a 3.03 ERA. So his ERA is up. It's in the 6s, which isn't great to look at. Like as a fan, as someone who enjoys the game of baseball, when you see a 6 ERA in a month, you're like, all right, what's this guy doing? But I do think Flaherty can get it together. I don't think he's been terrible, aside from the one outing he had where he really got beat up. I mean, that was rough. The one against San Diego when he gave up 7 earned.
And that inflates the stats too.
Exactly. And that was the tough one. But let's give the guy a chance. Let's see what he does for the team going forward. And like you said, if he ends up stinking it up, his last 4 however many starts he's going to make in a row and he's terrible in the postseason, fair. Say what you want.
Yeah, players are honest too. Like I was a guy, if I sucked, I sucked. You know what? But for me and watching Flaherty, personally, this isn't a guy that I think stinks.
I don't think he does either.
I personally think Flaherty is actually going to be really good. And the same people that were doubting Dean Kramer are probably the same people that are doubting Jack Flaherty.
Could be.
And I think that Jack Flaherty is going to have a great month of September. But my biggest concern for him is you need him to be healthy. Because if he's not healthy, then it leads into the frustration of saying, well, man, this was a guy we were counting on because we traded for him. And if we don't have use to him, it's a part of the game. But that becomes disappointing. Not his outing so far. 3 or 4 games, he's given his team a chance to win.
All right, you want to get into Rip's tips? Because I have no clue what you're talking about, as usual.
Yeah, Rip's tips here. We'll move through sponsors, possibly you. Sponsored by me and Rocco.
I don't sponsor you.
Yeah, you do.
Never will.
Not today.
Not tomorrow.
Okay. Well, Rip's tips. No one's going to always most people aren't going to feel sorry for you. You're going to have a lot of people, and it doesn't mean you're not going to have a support system. A lot of people are going to support you, the ones that care about you, your family, your friends. But out there, no one's going to look at you and go, oh, woe is that person. And the reason why I'm pulling this example, look what's going on right now with the Baltimore Orioles and the Tampa Bay Rays, 2 teams fighting for the number 1 spot in the American League East and in the American League in general. Tampa Bay lost Shane McClanahan, their ace, AL Cy Young candidate, and then Wander Franco with the investigation, who is one of their best players. And Tampa Bay, when they're looking at it, you go, that's a really unfortunate situation for their ball club. But guess what? No one's going to feel, oh, woe is me for Tampa. And Tampa's not going to feel sorry for themselves either. They got to go out and win. They're 2 back from the O's as we're recording this right now. They're not giving in. That locker room is saying, we're going to try to take this into our own hands. We can't control anything else. Orioles, same thing. The Orioles lose Bautista. It sucks. But guess what? No one else in the American League or Major League Baseball, for that matter, is feeling bad for the Orioles. They go, we've had our losses. We lost players. How do you get through it? It stinks of who it is, but the biggest thing for the team is what you have 2 choices. You let that bother you, or you say, you know what? It's going to make us stronger, and we are going to continue to grind just like we have the entire season. And whatever you're going through in life, it's the same thing. It's okay to have those moments, by the way, like be vulnerable and be frustrated and sometimes be like, why are these things happening, right? I've done it. I'm not going to sit here and say I do it still on a, I probably did it a couple weeks ago. I have those thoughts, but you know what? I remind myself and go, yeah, I might be feeling this way, but what am I going to do about it? And usually for me, especially in my media career right now, I go, you know what? What can I control? I'm going to go and keep working harder. I'm going to keep going to work on my craft, work on my editing skills late at night, work on how do I deliver with us Rock on this podcast and for Sports Unlimited. That's what I can do, and that's what I choose to do. So for everyone out there, take control of what's going on. Don't let other people bring you down, because you can pick yourself back up and see great things come from it.
Absolutely, man. Well said. I mean, I have nothing to say to that.
That's your Rips tips for this episode. We're done.
That is my Rips tips for this episode. Well, your Rips tips for this episode. So there we have it, man.
All right.
All right. What are we jumping into next? You know. I know.
Do they know?
Do they? Pretty sure they do. Would you like to talk
Maybe.
about?
Yes. Speaking of a guy that didn't care or didn't feel sorry for himself when he was off to a struggle in April and May. Talking about Gunnar Henderson, who everyone. I really hope you went to Vegas and or went to your online sports, wherever you are. I'm not saying that you should have doubled down or tripled down on Gunnar, but if you did, you are feeling really good because Gunnar Henderson, Roc, he's going to be the AL Rookie of the Year.
Oh, and he's got to be. And it's unfortunate to see what happened to Josh Young. He was putting up ridiculous numbers this season, and he was probably the front runner for AL Rookie of the Year. But regardless of if Young was injured, healthy, I still think he's winning AL Rookie of the Year.
I'm with you.
I do like Young a lot, and I think his game is phenomenal. But what Gunnar does, the big moments he steps up in, what he's able to do, how young he is, what he does in the field, what he does on the base paths, what he does with his bat. It's incredible to watch 22-year-old kid do what he's doing right now in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I mean, and that's, keep in mind, 22 years old, right? For baseball fans, it would have been great to see the young Gunnar battle. But to your point, I thought Gunnar since June 1st, different player, and that's really transformed the Orioles from chasing the Rays to taking that next step. Yes, it's been a team effort, no doubt. We talked about all of these great pieces, but Gunnar Henderson has gone from a rookie to, and we already knew he was going to be a superstar, but he did that in the span of a month. And honestly, I don't like to talk about my family too much or Calvin Edwin Ripken Jr., but it reminds me a lot of what my dad went through, where you have your struggles, it's frustrating, you're trying to figure it out. I mean, shoot, my dad had like 3 hits on opening day at 21, and then he went like 1 for 64 or something like that. You think that feels good? No. But then he ended up hitting 28 jacks, driving in 93 runs and won Rookie of the Year. Kind of sounds similar to Gunnar Henderson, doesn't it? Where Gunnar's on pace to backdoor 30 jacks and is on pace to now, is the front runner to win AL Rookie of the Year at 22. And he was 21 when the season started. So it's so crazy how that works. And I think the biggest thing, Roc, you mentioned it, everyone's seen the complete player.
Mm-hmm.
Not just what the offensive ability is, which I think can still be better. It's that his defense is great, his base running is great, and the sky truly is the limit.
You brought up your dad, and I've seen comparisons on Twitter, this, that, and the other thing between him and Gunnar. Do you see any similarities there between the two players at the age? I know when he was 22, you weren't even thought about yet at that point in time, being 30 years old. But yeah, you're old. I'm old. Whatever. But when he was a rookie, looking at Gunnar, him being a rookie right now, and I'm sure you've watched plenty of tape over the years, plenty of highlights, this, that. Do you see any similarities between those two players at that point in their careers?
Yeah, I mean, they're 2 big players, and I think people were wondering if they both could play shortstop, and that's first off. And the answer is yes for both. And just their struggles that they went through. And people might not know this. This is why I looked it up again. Roc, you want to take a guess what my dad's batting average was on May 1st of 1982?
May 1st of 1982?
Yep.
Is it going to be something absurdly low that I'm going to be like, wow?
Yep.
Is it below 150?
Yes.
Is it below 100?
Just above. A little bit above.
I'm going to say 107.
Close. 117.
Wow.
So imagine going through the first month and where he went 3 for 5 on opening day, and then his batting average was 117 going into the month of May. He was able to get it going at the end of May and got it up to, I think, around 245, I think was the number. and then had his ups and downs and kind of settled in a little bit. But the point being, I think the adversity, just the path seems so similar, the adversity. And what I love the fact for my dad, it was Earl Weaver giving him a chance, because Earl said, hey, we trust you. It was Brandon Hyde in this front office saying, we believe in you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're going to rest. It's a different day and age. My dad played every day.
Yeah.
But Gunnar, they said, we're not sending you down because you proved you can do everything at the lower level. So that's where I see the biggest similarities. And what I love is that the players proved their team and organization right. That you stick with me, I'm going to figure this out. And Gunnar Henderson certainly has started to figure it out.
And dude, we've talked about it time and time again. This isn't a guy that's just going to win AL Rookie of the Year. He's going to win some AL MVPs in his time in the league, in the show, because he is that good and that talented. And that's what scouts thought about him coming up. Mm-hmm. That's what GMs thought about him coming up. Well, maybe not when they drafted him, because a lot of teams let him slip. But Mike Elias, the Orioles, they did not. And they are more than happy to have Gunnar Henderson on their team and in Baltimore for what could be very long time. You know, we'll have to wait and see, but that's the hope that he's here for his career. I just love the energy, the passion he plays with, whether he makes it out, whether he hits a home run, he is fired up regardless. And fans love that passion. And the cycle, non-cycle last week, Gunnar Henderson, in O's fans' eyes, he hit for the cycle in that game.
Oh yeah.
Because he touched first and he could have stopped at first, but he didn't. That is the kind of motor, the skill set, and just the love for the game that this kid plays with day in and day out. And it's weird to call him a kid. I'm 8 years older than him, though. It's wild. He's still he's a young adult right now, and he's doing things that I couldn't even imagine doing in my lifetime. So good for Gunnar.
And his career,
O's fans, you got a good one. Yeah,
22. His whole career's ahead of him.
Oh, I mean, dude, this guy could play till we don't know how long he's gonna play. He could have a 20-year career in the show. The sky is truly the limit for Gunnar Henderson. Hate to sound cliche, but that's what it is right now for him. I'm gonna do a little American League whip around.
Yeah, let's whip around here. I'll take the reins.
You got the
here.
Standings up and everything.
I do. Thank you very much. And for everyone thinking the world is kind of falling in the Orioles' eyes, well, guess what? Maybe you haven't been following the AL West, where the Texas Rangers have completely gone cold. And not just a little cold. That they have lost 9 of their last 10 games. Houston is doing a little bit better than them. They've won 4 of the last 6, but Seattle, the Seattle Mariners are leading the AL West as we speak, up a game on both Texas and Houston, which is crazy to think, especially how things were a month and a half, 2 months ago for Seattle. Minnesota's got a 6-game advantage over Cleveland. That division's just so no bueno. And then the Orioles are holding on to a 2-game lead against Tampa. And here's the thing. And the number 1 seed in the AL East, whoever wins the AL East is going to be the number 1 seed. I'll just make my words quicker.
And we're starting to see vowels next to teams' names. It's one team's name, and that's the Oakland Athletics, and that vowel is an E for eliminated from the playoffs. And when did they get eliminated? I don't know off the top. Was that today? Did that happen this week? I knew they weren't going to make the playoffs, but officially eliminated.
It felt like it happened the first.
Probably happened like the first week of the season.
Yeah, it felt like 30 days in.
That stinks for that fan base, man. I feel so bad for the A's fans.
Well, and the thing is, Baltimore fans can relate. And for all those Baltimore fans out there, be humble. Yeah. Be humble with all the success right now, because you're looking at what other teams have gone through, and you know how much that stunk. And it was bad. It was brutal.
And the O's, while they've been in the driver's seat of the AL East, they have, the Rays aren't going anywhere with losing Wander Franco, with losing McClanahan. They've won 8 of their last 10.
Yep.
They've won 2 straight. Yes, they played the Yankees. Yes, the Yankees have been bad this season. We all know that, historically bad. 19 games out of first place, 62 and 68. It's bad.
Well, so for them, it's bad. Brad and I doing the YouTube show, the Ron Ripken show. Brad found out the stat: 1992 is the last losing season for the Yankees. That was the year Camden Yards was being built.
I was negative 1 years old.
Bananas, right?
Yeah, you were
crazy.
Negative one and 1 more month than me.
Yeah,
because I'm June, you're July.
It's crazy to think.
It really
so
is.
we're not used to seeing the Yankees be this bad, and they feel like it's like like today I saw a highlight on there. I'm like, I can't believe this. The New York Yankees are playing this type of baseball. But to your point, Tampa's not going away, and they got some big series coming up, and including one coming to Baltimore in mid-September, which very well.
That's a big one. That's the 4-game series in Baltimore, and that series is going to be huge.
And that's the last time they face each other.
Yep.
In the regular season. So
4-game series against the Rays, Thursday, the 14th of September, Friday, the 15th, Saturday, the 16th, Sunday, the 17th, and I expect Camden Yards to be packed for that.
You know who's going to be doing Baltimore baseball tonight pregame show that week?
Who's that? You?
Guilty.
At Pickles?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it is going to be nuts.
If it was an off day, I'd come over there and join you for that. Maybe bother you like I always do.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'll tell. You know, maybe for the circumstances, we just find a way.
Just find a way.
Yeah, we find a way to get you down there for it. But the point being is that's gonna be the series, regardless of what's gonna happen the next 2 weeks or so. That's gonna be it. And a lot of baseball has to be played between then. But man, I'm really proud of how these teams have handled it. And honestly, I can't wait. I'm a big baseball guy. I want the Orioles to do well. I love the team. But I really respect the hell out of what the Tampa Bay Rays are doing right now.
Just looking at the upcoming series, the one in Boston. So I'm going to be off that week, the 3rd to the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even realize because how often, like I have the calendar, but I'm not thinking in my head, oh, the O's go to Boston this day. Like when it comes up, it happens. Like the Rays series, I know all about because that's like marked down on the calendar. Like, when that's coming up. The Boston one was not on my calendar. Like, I'm just like, okay. The reason I'm saying that is because, dude, I think I'm going to take my first trip to Camden Yards. I'm going up to Boston to see Ariana for the week.
So you're taking your first trip to Fenway.
Yeah. Or so, did I just say Camden Yards?
Yeah,
I got Camden Yards in my head.
I know you've been there.
Yeah, I've been to Camden Yards a lot. That was like me thinking about Camden Yards and saying, or thinking another thing. But I will be taking my first trip to Fenway. And I thought, I asked Ariana, I was like, we could be doing anything this week. It's like, it's a week we have together. What do we want to do? And I planted a little seed in there. I just said, ooh, the O's play on Friday night. I was like, I know it's like our only Friday night we're going to have that week because she travels for work, but it's like, threw it out there.
I will say this. If for people who haven't been to Fenway is still one of the most, for me, if you're a baseball romantic, it's you got to go. And you're going to be in Fenway in September where the Red Sox are still fighting for a playoff spot. The Orioles are right here. You're going to love it. You guys are going to love it. Fenway is one of my favorite ballparks I've gotten to visit over all the years. I'm
pumped. I've been there for my dad ref the Harvard-Yale game at Fenway, so I got to go to see a college football game there, but I've never seen a baseball game there. Yeah, and I posted it in the text message we have, and I was like, the O's play the Sox Friday when I'm there in Boston. I was like, we don't have to go, but I thought it was cool. Just like saying, like we don't have to, and I didn't have an ulterior motive there. I was just like, if we want to go, whatever. And then she goes, we should. I've never been. And I was like, let's lock it in. Let's go. So we're getting tickets, going to that Friday night game between the O's and the Red Sox at Camden Yards. And I will definitely be posting
Fenway Park, not at Camden Yards.
Do I keep saying Camden Yards?
Yes, you do.
Oh my God, man. I'm just like, I'm thinking about Camden Yards so much. Fenway Park. Sorry. I'm not that dumb. I know the Sox play at Fenway. I just hope I don't say that on air.
That's why you got me.
I know. Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Thanks. Sorry to go on that tangent. Talk about that.
But that's the thing is, it's going to be fun.
I'm pumped to go to Fenway Park.
Fenway Park.
Why did I keep saying Camden Yards for that though? What's wrong with my brain tonight? Been a long week, man. Sorry,
that's a
guys.
whole different question.
Trust me. I know the O's play at Camden Yards, the Red Sox play at Fenway Park, but I'm just losing my mind right
Rock.
here.
We'll get the books out and we'll have Rocco.
There's
so
so excited.
Whiteboard right here.
I'm
we
just
can
so
write
excited to go to another game at Camden Yards.
Yeah. Way to try
Monday.
Way to try to recover.
I think I'm going Monday.
Red Sox
tomorrow.
Fenway
tonight.
Orioles. Camden.
You know what? You shut your mouth. All right, let's dive into the Rip and Roc mailbag. We brought that back for this week. You got the questions ready. Want to read them off? My Twitter popped up.
You want me to?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay.
I'll ask you some.
And then, hey, just to make sure, how are we doing with time right now?
We're doing all right.
Okay.
We're fine.
Okay.
Not kicking out yet.
All right. Well, just so we'll start with this. There's one saying about what effect does one guy who doesn't fit have on a clubhouse? Does it translate to the field? Can you spot him by on-field behavior? And I couldn't tell initially. This was by Fiddleback Productions. I don't know if that's necessarily talking about a specific player on the team right now. And I know a lot of people, I've heard some things about Jack Flaherty, which again, don't think that's fair. But as far as what effect does one guy have on a clubhouse? Well, when you have a strong culture, the veteran leadership will be able to weed that out, even if people see it. Like, that's a thing. And the Orioles have strong leadership with that. Kyle Gibson, James McCann, Adam Frazier, Aaron Hicks, when he's healthy too, or when he's around, those guys aren't going to put up with it, right? So I will say that it's the inexperienced leadership in a clubhouse, and even the younger guys. This Orioles team is very accountable. So to people from the outside, that's my answer. If there is something wrong and the team is not playing well, like probably in years past when the Orioles weren't as good, yeah, there would be some issues and you could visibly tell. But for right now with this Orioles group, this is probably one of the best atmospheres I've seen from them and from a team standpoint and a leadership standpoint.
Okay.
Is that cool? Do you want to add anything?
No, I completely agree with that. I don't think, and I do believe that they're talking about Flaherty without talking about Flaherty there, because I clicked on the profile and checked, and it looked like they said something about Flaherty as well, Fiddleback Productions. But I don't think Flaherty's checked out. I think he's happy to be on a winning team.
For sure.
And you never know, like, if you think he's checked out, you really never know what guys have going on in their personal lives or players. I'm not saying he does, but you truly never know.
Mm-hmm.
So could he have something going on? He could, but I have no clue. The Jack Flaherty, I think we just saw Jack Flaherty, who was actually sore, who was coming off a rough outing, who needed maybe a little bit extra rest. Today in the clubhouse, did he seem a little off? Yeah, a little bit. Looking at the, when we pulled the sound from after the game. But maybe that's how Jack Flaherty just carries himself. Maybe that's how he's carried himself. He is still the new guy, the new kid on the block here, maybe trying to find his way and fit in. So maybe that's something to keep an eye on going forward, but I don't think there's no red flags out there from Jack Flaherty right now that I'm really picking up on.
And I'm with you on that. I agree.
All right, let's jump into the next one.
All right, so Jake asks, how commonly do teams invent phantom injuries just to give players a break while clearing a roster spot? It certainly seemed like the O's invented some phantom injuries for Voth and CNL, but they've come back looking so much better that maybe they didn't. In those cases, neither of those guys actually were phantom. They were dealing with something. I can tell you guys that personally. I wouldn't say the teams necessarily. There is a thing in the minor leagues where you can go on the phantom IL, where there's guys where some cases in the minors, it was mainly because they didn't want to get rid of you, but they didn't have a spot for you at the time, right? Or they're trying to hold on until another move is created. At the big league level, it's kind of hard to get away with that because usually you need those guys. One that was unique, though, was Tyler Wells being sent down to AA and not be given a rehab assignment or put on the IL. That one was different because that usually doesn't happen. You usually send the guy to AAA. However, the Nationals used to do it when their AAA team was in Fresno. They would send guys who were going to be to their big league team to Harrisburg to keep them closer. So that's the answer to that question. For those two guys, though, Perez and Voth, nah, that one's not a phantom injury. But the phantom IL is definitely a thing in the minor leagues for sure.
I would have no clue because I didn't play at the level of baseball you played at, but I'm just going to go with what you're saying there. I don't believe they're creating the phantom injuries. Does it happen in baseball? Probably does. Has it happened with the Orioles before? Probably has. But like you said, in those two cases, I don't think it has either.
Yep. We said what we said. Steve asked, what if anything do the players make of John Angelos's comments? Sounds like a statement translate to enjoy this while it lasts, but I'm not going to pay these guys in due time.
And the comments he's talking about, Angelos had said the hardest thing to do in sports is be a small market team in baseball and be competitive because everything is stacked against you. Everything. Told that to the Times. I continued, said, I don't think you should run losses. I think you should live with your means or within your means and within your market. Here's my thing with that. I don't think Baltimore is a small market, and I don't think the Orioles are a small market team.
Right.
And if I'm a player, no offense to John Angelos, but I don't care about those comments because I'm trying to win a World Series regardless. And when the time comes to get paid, then I'm worrying about that. But right now, if you're looking at we look at in TV, we really look at markets. It's like you want to get to this market. You want to get to that market because it's higher up on the rankings. Mm-hmm. Baltimore is either 26 or 28 out of 200 markets in the country because of population and size. This, if anything, I'd call this a middle market. Right. It's a mid-sized market, and as far as sports goes as well, because you think Baltimore has two sports teams. They have the Ravens, they have the O's. Professionally, these are the teams that are here, and I'm sure they generate a ton of revenue. So here, this is a middle sports market. It is not a small market team. If you want to treat it like a small market team, I don't know if John Angelos does or not, but if you're going to treat it like a small market team, then it's going to be a small market team. But if you're going to treat it like the market size that it is, a middle market, because there are plenty of markets out there that just have baseball or just have hockey or just have football or just have one sport. That's not the case here. Fans are blessed to have two sports, good football team, good baseball team here. And I feel like that is how we should start treating the Baltimore market when it comes to sports. It's a middle market to me. But player-wise, I don't think they should feel any type of way about it until it comes time for them to get paid. The Gunners and the Adleys. When time comes, then you worry about something like that.
Yeah, and I'll just say this: I don't like to get into the whole whole discussion on all of that because again, everyone has their own opinions. But I will say this because this question's focused on the players. It's player-centric question. Honestly, the really good players focus on the process. They focus on what they can control. And for them, you made a great point. This team was trying to win a World Series. And even though it's a young team, and we've talked about this in the past, the Orioles have been to the playoffs 5 times in the last 40 years. Winning's extremely hard. Guys, their childhood dream is to make the World Series. That you play in the backyard, game 7, bases loaded, you're trying to hit a home run or make the final out, whatever it may be. Mine was hitting a grand slam in game 7. That was the dream, right? So a lot of these players, you're focused because you don't know if you're going to get to it. And there's so many things you can't control, and you're going to find out in the baseball world or even in life, so many things are out of your control, but you can control what you can do, and that is how you conduct yourself, how you carry yourself. And I will say this as far as why I want this focus so much on the players and the team is because when I say that winning's hard, and this is the other part of it, when I've asked my dad in the past, if I told him after his second year in the league, you would never go back to the World Series, you would never have another chance like that, he'd probably say you're crazy. And if I said, yeah, you're going to play 20 years and you're never going to get one more chance. So 18 seasons, he played 2 already, 18 more years, never would go back to the playoffs, he'd say you're crazy. But then he looked back and you go, man, I really relished that 83 moment. I thought there was going to be more, but just like there is in life, there's no guarantees.
No, absolutely. And that's really all we'll say about that right now. And I think you hit the nail on the head with that. But it is what it is. For the players, they're going to focus on baseball. They're not going to focus on what else is said. Do they see it? Probably. But I really don't think they're going to feel some type of way about it right now if I'm a player in the clubhouse with the chemistry and everything that's going on right now. You don't want anything to distract you from that ultimate goal, and that's winning a World Series.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you. Do we answer one more? Or
let's answer one more. We're good on time. The we are recording this right now. It's 10:30. Usually I'd go on and I'd be running out the door.
Hey, are you good right now?
Yeah, I'm good. The Texans and Saints are playing on Fox 45 right now, so we don't go on until that game ends. So I have plenty of time.
All righty. Well, then we'll answer one more question here.
One more question. Then we'll do a quick preview of the White Sox series, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, then we're out of here. So last question. With Syndergaard on the market now, he just got DFA'd by the Guardians. Is there anyone out there at risk of being DFA'd that could wind up being part of the Orioles' postseason push? I know these late pickups were hallmarks of the 12 and 14 runs. Well, Syndergaard's an interesting name just because of the name recognition. You know, it's hard to say, is there anyone out there? Because I think we're going to have to find out more as it goes. Just like no one thought that the Orioles were going to go after Jacob Webb on the Angels.
I don't know if anybody really knew who Jacob Webb was before they went after him.
Right. So my point is, I don't think there's really any specific part of this. I know just on previous experiences going back, like, yes, there's going to be teams. I know when I was with the Norfolk Tides in AAA in 2021, former teammate Evan Phillips got released, picked up by the Rays late in the season, picked up, put on the 40-man, DFA'd, and then the Dodgers picked him up, and now Evan has become one of the parts of that Dodgers bullpen. So to your point, like you never know. Like people probably didn't think Evan Phillips was going to be the guy, and Evan right now is out there spotting a 2.34 ERA, pitching for the Dodgers as they make another push to try to win a World Series. So yeah, the thing is, yes, Syndergaard will be interesting. I think some team obviously is going to want a starter. It's just going to depend on.
He was on the Phillies roster. They went to the World Series last year.
Yeah, it's just
his best years are behind him, but he'll be wanted by somebody.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be the Orioles, but hey, if they view it, then they'll do it. I was a little bit surprised.
View it, then they'll do it. I like that.
Yeah,
little rhyme.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
Poet, and you just don't.
It is kind of shocking though that you acquire the guy and then you all of a sudden get rid of him after 4 or 5 starts. I think there was. I'll play the hypothetical game here, but I just would feel. Was there something else going on there? Because if you make an investment like that, usually maybe you let it out for the rest of the season, not just give up on it after 4 or 5 starts.
All right. Well, with that being said, thank you guys for your responses, your questions. We really appreciate them. We might not do the mailbag every week, but when we do, we really appreciate you guys tuning in and interacting with us on Twitter and other social media platforms. It kind of makes this podcast what it is. And thank you all for sending in your questions this week. All right, the O's have a big 3-game series coming up. Every series is big. I just like to call the next one big as well.
Huge.
With the White Sox, they are coming in Monday. That will be tonight if we are talking about you listening to this podcast today. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Then they head out west again for a 6-game road trip, 3 games with the Diamondbacks, 3 games with the Angels. White Sox series. It's the one in front, though. You got Grayson Rodriguez getting the start. He's the probable pitcher in game 1 against Kopech. You got Kramer against Schultens. And then you got Gibson against Cease. 3 games against the White Sox. What are your thoughts? I think they could take 2 or 3, win another series. Potential sweep.
They're expected to win the series, right?
Yeah.
Teams. What the Orioles have done so well so far this season is take care of the teams they're supposed to take care of. And even though people don't like that they didn't take 3 from the Rockies, you still want another series. You know, you stack up winning series. And the motto, Rock, you know it.
Avoid sweeps, win series.
Win the series. And if you can't win it, avoid being swept. Actually,
there you go.
I think
I got it right.
I think Zach Bollinger actually tweeted that out to me. I meant to tag you to say, Rocco, what's the motto? But I didn't want to annoy you too much today. But that's the point, right?
You do that anyway. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, for sure. But the White Sox, yeah, it's a series you expect the Orioles to take advantage of. But again, it's a professional baseball team that still has guys out there that are going out there and trying to do their best. Including one of my good friends, one of my best friends, Gavin Sheets on the White Sox, Baltimore native, graduate from Gilman, where we both went. He's on the White Sox. He's coming into town. He loves hitting against the Orioles, by the way. He's hitting like 400 for his career against Baltimore. So if you're an O's fan, You just hope he's not in the lineup because I guarantee you he's going to do well. He always does when he comes here.
And he's got support in the stands too. I think, I want to say I went to the White Sox Orioles game last year when they played at Camden Yards. Mm-hmm. Not Fenway Park.
Not Fenway Park.
No, I only mix up when I'm talking about the Red Sox. But last year's game at Camden Yards, it was a 3 or 4 game series. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was 3 here. Mm-hmm. And I think I was sitting down I forget if I covered it as a reporter or just like went as a fan and kind of like took in the action. But I remember sitting in the stands and seeing the Gilman G hat, and seeing the support he had. I think it was down the right field line, the first base line, down to right field, and they were cheering him on. And that's cool to see because a lot of those people might be Orioles fans, but they're also fans of Gavin Sheets. So it is cool to see a hometown kid come back, do his thing, play at the ballpark that he probably drove by a ton growing up, and to be in the show now, it's really cool.
Yeah, and also his dad, Larry Sheets, also our coach in high school. Larry played with my dad. They were drafted the same year.
That's awesome.
And so known them for so long. And for people wondering, yes, I'm going to root for my guy. It's if Gavin hits a home run against the team, I'm going to root for my guy. But I'm also I want the team to win. I want the Orioles to win,
of course.
But and also for this case, I wasn't lying about how Gavin hits against the Orioles. Current Orioles pitchers right now that are on the staff. So if the White Sox are smart, they'll put Gavin in the lineup. Yeah. So anyway, it'll be a fun series at the Yard. If you're in town, you should make it to the game because we've talked about it. Every game matters. Should be fun. But hey, that does it for us. We've been here long enough. Roc, what's the rundown again?
All right, you can find us both on Instagram, Rocco DeSangro, or at R DeSangro, at Ryan Ripken, on Twitter, at Rocco DeSangro, at Ryan Ripken. Download, subscribe, review.
Boom.
Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio.
Yep. We're learning that there's so many different places to get the pod wherever you want. Whammy, it's out there.
Whammy.
And that's really it. Just let us know. Keep giving those reviews, though. Let us know how we're doing. We want to make this better for you. Appreciate you hanging out with us. And Roc, I guess we'll see. I'll see you later. I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week on a brand new episode of Rip and Roc.